Hello students, how are you people? Hope you are all very good. Okay, so in our earlier classes, yes, we have discussed about, we have studied about the digestion and absorption of nutrients, right? So we studied that the human digestive system is a long tube and it has different segments with a different length and diameter. And the human digestive system has a different kind of what we say mainly the functions also. In our earlier class, yes, we have discussed mainly the human digestive system anatomy in detail, and then we have studied about regarding the histology or the four important layers of the human gut, that is outer serosa and then muscularis and then mainly the what we can say the mucosa as well as submucosa is present, that we have discussed. We studied even about the digestive glands. Okay, that includes mainly salivary gland as well as the gastric gland, and then we studied about the intestinal glands and then the liver as well as pancreas. We discussed about mainly a small table I had given in the earlier class that includes the secretions of particular gland and then their quantity, their pH and then components, all that we have discussed. In today's class we will study about the mechanism of digestion. Okay, so we will discuss about mechanism of digestion. Mainly the mechanism of digestion, yes, it is not only what we can say but the chemical digestion. Mechanism of digestion is the mechanical digestion as well as the biochemical digestion. Yes. So I think mechanical digestion we have discussed as well as the biochemical digestion. So here let me just tell you, when we talk about mechanical digestion, what it means. Mechanical digestion is basically how the food is getting digested, and then biochemical digestion mainly the digestion of yes, what we can say that how the biomolecules are formed and then how they will be what we can say that absorbed. That we have discussed. Just let me give you an overview of this. Mechanical digestion means the food as we keep in the mouth will not remain as silent, so we start chewing the food, right? So by the use of teeth and then distribution of the food on the right and left side jaw, mainly by the tongue, chewing we do, that is called mastication. And food is mixed with the saliva and that is known as now it is the bolus. So this bolus, yes, it becomes semi-solid or gel like that we swallow, mainly at what? Mainly at the region of pharynx. So swallowing is called as deglutition. This food will be moved unidirectionally into the stomach through the esophagus. Esophagus has circular as well as longitudinal muscle, and that rhythmic contractions that forward the food into the stomach, that is called peristalsis. Now in the stomach, what is mechanical digestion? Here churning mechanism, gastric motility is called as mixing of the food with that of the gastric juice, then it is called as the chyme. Then this food, yes, now it has to be moved further into intestine, and mainly the intestinal motility also happens there. The food plus succus entericus, what happens there? The food is mixed with the what we say mainly the intestinal juice, then it is called as a chyle, chyle, that we have discussed. Maximum absorption of nutrients, yes, that happens in the mainly the jejunum and ileum and then even the colon, large intestine. After proper absorption of the nutrients and water, minerals, the food returns into semi-solid structure, that is called as bolus, that will move through the terminal part of colon then into the rectum, and then in the rectum and anus mass peristalsis will happen, that results into defecation. So this what we have to know, yes, we have discussed already. Biochemical digestion you know very well as such. Mainly the biochemical digestion that begins in the mouth cavity or the oral cavity, where the starch, 30% of the starch is digested by the presence of salivary amylase. at a pH of 6.8. And then this starch is broken into disaccharides, what is called as the maltose. Okay, so thus the food, yes, now it moves into the mainly the pharynx and then esophagus. There is no more digestion. But in the stomach, yes, there will be the digestion of protein, digestion of lipids. So protein as such, milk caseinogen can be broken into curd casein in the presence of the enzyme renin. So still we can find the enzymes such as the renin, pepsin also we can find over there, and gastric lipase also present in the stomach that helps in digestion of the lipids. So lipids are broken into fatty acids in the presence of gastric lipase. But the next segment as such, small intestine, we know that it is the site of complete digestion where protein, carbohydrate, lipid digestion including even nucleic acids also digested very well. So to say as such protein digestion means proteins, proteose or peptones are broken or digested very well by the presence of chymotrypsin, then trypsin as well as mainly carboxypeptidase enzymes. So it results into mainly the amino acids, so dipeptides and then amino acids. Then when we talk about yes, polysaccharides such as starch also can be digested in the small intestine, getting converted into what we call as mainly maltose disaccharide. It is there is a presence of pancreatic amylase that helps in digestion of the carbohydrate. So the disaccharides such as the sucrose is broken by the enzyme sucrase and then it results into glucose and fructose. Similarly, the maltose broken into again glucose and glucose by the presence of enzyme maltase. And then yes, we find mainly the lactose or milk sugar also we say that can be broken into glucose and galactose by the presence of enzyme lactase. Other than this, yes, mainly the lipase present, pancreatic lipase is present in the intestine and that helps in digestion of lipids. So lipids are broken into mainly diglycerides and monoglycerides, and these di and monoglycerides are still broken into fatty acids and glycerol by the presence of lipase. So this is all about the protein, carbohydrate and lipid digestion. Other than this, yes, we can find mainly the nucleic acid when we eat any vegetable, that means we are eating plant cells. When we eat the flesh or non-veg, we are eating animal cells. So animal cells or plant cells, they have the nucleus and then inside the nucleus, nucleic acids. So these nucleic acids also broken by the enzyme nucleases, we call it. So these nucleases break this nucleic acid into small the pieces called as nucleotides. These nucleotides are basically a combination of mainly the nitrogen base, sugar and phosphate group. So when phosphate group is separated by the enzyme nucleotidase, then what is resulted is a nucleoside. That means only sugar and nitrogen base. So nucleosidase enzyme will break this also, and that will be further converted into free nitrogen base and free sugar, and these are utilized by our body cells for making up our own DNA and RNA. So this is what we call it as mainly the entire, just I have given you a summary of mechanism of digestion, whether it's mechanical as well as biochemical. Now let us understand mainly about the digestion. Yes, we discussed absorption of mainly the nutrients. So absorption of nutrients, yes, we will discuss, but first let us understand regulation of digestion. So how our digestive system is regulated? Regulation of digestion. So when we talk about the regulation, mainly our digestive system is under the control of three important mechanisms. Number one, CNS regulation, central nervous system also regulates. Okay. Number two, conditional reflex, we call it as. Okay. Then number three, mainly the gastrointestinal secretions, also known to control our mechanism of digestion. First, when we talk about CNS regulated, mainly digestion, what it means? The central nervous system, yes, mainly the stimulations, yes. What are the stimulations as such? It can be visual stimulation, it can be olfactory, it can be auditory. Okay, yes, it can be touch and it can be the taste stimulations. All these stimulations, yes, will reach to our brain. Okay, and then the brain, yes, mainly send a signal to the hypothalamus, as well as brain send a signal to the medulla. Okay, hypothalamus is the most important center that controls our hunger and thirst. So hypothalamus mainly, yes, regulates our hunger and thirst. So medulla also, yes, mainly controls the mechanism of digestion, yes, regulates digestive system and its function, absorption of nutrients, all that. So stimulation is very important. As such, when you are very hungry and then somebody is showing you the very attractive food item and then you feel salivation. You are hungry, food is far away from you but in front of you, or it is in the glass vessel and they are simply showing you but not giving you, that is visual. Olfactory, yes, and showing you the smell also, but you are not able to take it in your hand. So olfactory sensation, yes, you are able to hear what is that they are going to prepare and then they are describing you how nice it will be. So on the television, yes, you are observing all these delicious food items they are preparing, but you can't, yes, keep your hand inside the TV and take the item. You can't do that. But it is a kind of stimulation that reaches to the brain. And then, so touch and taste sensation, yes, when the food thing, yes, it has been mainly touched by your tongue and then you are sensing the smell also, and then little taste you get means you start continuing eating that food. These are all different kind of stimulations. When they reach to the brain sends a signal to the hypothalamus that controls our hunger as well as the thirst, and then our entire digestion mechanism is controlled mainly by the what we can say the digestive regulatory center that is present in the medulla. So thus it is a central nervous system controlled digestion, we say. Conditional reflex. Yes, let me tell you, there was a scientist by name Pavlov. So Pavlov has conducted an experiment. That experiment is called as the dog and bell experiment. Let me tell you what is this. So Pavlov has a dog. Every day he was giving the food to the dog, and then simultaneously he was ringing the bell also. So this he continued for many months, and one day what he did, simply he rang the bell and did not give the food. But dog still has lots of salivation in its mouth. That means dog has, yes, mainly adjusted its mindset that whenever bell is ringing, there will be the food is available. So its reflex action, yes, developed in such a way that every day at a particular time bell is ringing, food is coming. That was the assumption, yes, what the dog has, and then one day simply rang the bell but food not given. That indicated mainly by the salivation in the mouth of the dog, that indicates it is conditional reflex. Similarly, when we fit into a system that every day, yes, exactly morning 7:30 you will get the breakfast, 12:30 or 1 o'clock you will get the lunch, then evening 5 o'clock or 5:30 you will get the snacks, and then night, yes, around 8:30 you will get the dinner. Means 1 hour earlier than the given time, yes, your gut system or digestive system is ready with the digestive juices. So your system has understood its system, yes, it has mainly fitted well or accustomed that so and so time the food is available, so system will be ready with all its gut juices. Okay, this is called as mainly conditional reflex, that also regulates our digestion. And then when we look at mainly gastrointestinal secretions, let me tell you what are those gastrointestinal secretions and how they mainly, what we can say, control the mechanism of digestion. So the functioning of mainly the small intestine as well as the liver, pancreas, all that depends on the gastrointestinal secretions or certain these secretions also called as hormones. Hormones of GIT, gastrointestinal tract, we say hormones of GIT. GIT means gastrointestinal tract. Okay, so let me tell you as such, this is our esophagus, and then the esophagus open up into cardiac stomach, and then this is fundic stomach, and then here it is mainly what we say the stomach. In fact, it will be like this, and here what we find, it is the duodenum. So the stomach mainly it has mainly fundic region, fundic stomach, we call it as, this part is the cardiac stomach, and this part is pyloric stomach. Okay, now this whatever the fundic stomach has gastric glands. So there are what we can say the formation of the hormone gastrin. Gastrin mainly stimulates, okay, HCl secreting cells. What they are, we call them as oxyntic cells. Okay, so it stimulates mainly the HCl secretion. It also stimulates the formation of pepsin as well as renin for the digestion of mainly proteins. And then gastrin also causes what we say, it also causes gastric motility. Yes, means the food is when mixed with the gastric juice, it becomes what we call it the chyme, that has to be mixed well, so it induces gastric motility. So the duodenum, yes, this part we call it as mainly duodenum. Duodenum has one enzyme, one hormone called as GIP. So it is also known as the gastric inhibitory peptide. Okay, so this GIP as such, what it does, it will inhibit, okay, it inhibits the gastrin. So when food is not there in the duodenum, what is the use of secreting unwanted, unnecessary gastrin, producing HCl, pepsin, all that? So it inhibits when there is no food. So it is a one again regulatory hormone. What is hormone? Other than that, yes, the duodenum also known to secrete the hormone called as secretin. This secretin mainly stimulates, yes, intestinal glands. Intestinal glands to secrete succus entericus. Okay, secretin, yes, also stimulates what we can say pancreas. So pancreatic secretion also it regulates. Other than that, secretin, yes, also act on the mucus gland or goblet cells, then Brunner's gland. Brunner's glands. So when they are stimulated, they produce required mucus, and mucus is essential that mainly protect the gut from inside, from the gastric HCl. Okay, so mucus prevents excoriation, means damage of the mucus by HCl, that is prevented by presence of the mucus itself. So secretin has number of roles such as pancreatic secretion. It reduces intestinal glands mainly for the addition of, in addition to pancreas also contribute to succus entericus, but even what we can say that yes, the intestinal glands also contribute. Other than that, mucus glands or goblet cells, Brunner's glands and submucous of intestine also stimulated. So mucus is secreted, mainly stimulation done by the secretin. Other than this, there is one more hormone released by the duodenum. That hormone is called as CCK. Yes, the full form of CCK is cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. So this CCK is mainly acting on gallbladder. It induces contractions of gallbladder. CCK induces contractions of gallbladder. Thus it leads to the release of concentrated bile. Concentrated bile is released. This helps in emulsification of fat. Emulsification of fat. Okay, so this is what we talk about mainly. The function of what we can say the regulation of digestion, especially by the secretions from the what we can say gastrointestinal secretions or hormone of stomach, hormone of duodenum, that helps in regulation of digestion like this. Hope you understood. Now we need to further go ahead with the what is next is it is what we call as the regulation of digestion. As such we have discussed, we need to understand absorption of nutrients also. Absorption of nutrients, yes, again it depends on number of different mechanisms, such as it may be the simple diffusion, or it may be what we say the active transport, or it may be facilitated transport, and then a special mechanism is there for the absorption of the lipids also. Well, that we will discuss, and then we will discuss even about the disorders of the digestive system. Well, let me summarize this what you are observing here. The regulation of digestion mainly the central nervous system under the stimulation of auditory, olfactory or touch, taste and visual stimulation. Our hunger increases and we respond very well. And then conditional reflex every day on a particular time food is available. So at least 1 hour, 1.5 hours earlier to the availability of the food, our gut system is ready with all its secretions. That is called as the conditional reflex. Then gastrointestinal secretions means the most important role of gastrin, secretin, CCK as well as the GIP. Gastrin mainly the hormone that stimulates gastric glands to produce mainly HCl as well as to produce mainly pepsin as well as renin for the better digestion of proteins. And then if the food is not available mainly in the duodenum, the acidic content yes will be damaging the intestine, to that avoiding that is mainly done by GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide, inhibits unwanted secretion of gastrin. And then mainly the duodenum has the secretin. This will stimulate the pancreas to secrete the required components that add up to succus entericus. It stimulates mainly intestinal glands to add to the succus entericus. It stimulates mainly Brunner's glands and mucus glands to produce the mucus for better protection. Other than this, yes, we can find mainly the CCK from duodenum, cholecystokinin, that stimulates the contraction of gallbladder, a sac-like or bag-like structure found at the liver, which is connected by the cystic duct. It mainly stores whatever the bile, concentrates it. Mainly the bile salts are more and when such concentrated bile is released into the hepatopancreatic duct, then into the duodenum, there it will be very much helpful to digest the fat. Mechanism is called as emulsification of fat. So this is all about the regulation of what we say mainly the digestion. Fine. So thus we have done with mainly the overall regulation of what we say digestion.